I've never wanted to do any cross training, but since being injured, I've had no choice.
Third week of training, started wearing vests now.
Getting fit again isn't going to be easy, but I do have a reputation for seeing through my goals.
Yes! Let's fucking come on!
With the help of my coach and our friends over at Coros, this is the behind-the-scenes plan of how cross training will get me back to running at an elite level.
My aim is to use cross training to go from this to this. I've got about 6 months until my Achilles is going to be fixed enough to get back running, but in that time I need to improve my threshold, my VO2 max, and get back to some sort of fitness so I can hit the ground running, literally and metaphorically. I've got 2 key partners joining me on this journey. The first one is this guy right here. Yeah, he's handsome, right? This is Nick Aguila. He's been my coach for the last couple of years, specialised in running, but also has a background in cycling and triathlon. He even coached some professional triathletes. He's going to look after all of my programming, what sessions I'm doing, when I'm doing them, and in theory, how hard I should do them. The problem is, this guy lives in America. If you weren't supporting Team Great Britain this weekend, what other country would you be a supporter of?
The USA. No,
These guys are in my pocket. Coros pastry, Coros heart rate monitor. That goes on my arm, that goes on my wrist. I wear them to every session and they're going to inform my training so I don't have to make all the decisions myself. But what does that mean exactly?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
What that means is I can control 3 key variables. Consistency, which is how many days I'm cross-training. Volume or duration, that's the time or the distance that I'm spent cross-training. So in this case, I'll probably use hours or minutes because that'll be the easiest. And the third and most important factor that I can change is intensity. How hard I'm working in each session will be a stimulus on different training areas that I'm trying to improve. For example, improving my threshold or my VO2 max, I'll need to work at a different intensity to work on each one.
So today's one of my easy cycle days. This is kind of to replicate the easy run. So my heart rate, I'm looking around in the 130s, basically 135 is like a minimum, up to a top of say 145. Try and keep it in that because even though it's harder to get my heart rate up than running, so this feels like quite a moderate effort, especially using different muscles, to my heart it's an easy effort relative to my heart rate zones. So try and get about 45 minutes to an hour done in this easy heart rate zone and tick off the day, and then save the harder workout days for the higher heart rate brackets. But it's not easy when you're a good runner and then you start doing some sort of cycling, swimming, whatever. It's pretty humbling because this feels harder than it should be for my heart, but I'll get used to it. You can see 10 minutes in, got it into the 140s, so try and hold around kind of this mark. All right, today's a workout day, so a little bit more serious. Going to be using the heart rate monitor basically to fund the whole session. It's going to be 4 sets of 6 times 30 seconds with 20-second rest. So each block is basically 5 minutes, works out about 4 times 5 minutes. I'll have like 4 minutes between the sets. So yeah, going to be aiming to get my heart rate nice and high in the 170s upwards for each of the 30-second reps. It'll start a bit lower and then gradually increase as a fatigue. So yeah, that's the aim. In 30 seconds, it's hard to glance at your heart rate, so you kind of just got to trust that you're working hard enough. And by the end, you definitely will be.
The key guiding metric I'm going to be using while cross-training is something called heart rate zone distribution. Essentially, this is how much time I spend working at different heart rate levels. Here, you can see the last 8 weeks of training I did prior to my injury, and you can see the heart rate distribution between the easy zones, zone 2, 3, 4, and upwards. Here, you can see my last week of cross-training. The numbers kind of mirror up in terms of percentages, and I'm trying to fit it in a similar zone. This is because I won't get any muscular stimulus from cross-training. I will only get an aerobic stimulus. So I want the bulk of it to be trying to build my aerobic capacity and being an easy heart rate zone. And then I'll gradually filter in bits at threshold, zone 2 and zone 3, and then bits at VO2 max, which will be the higher heart rate zones. Obviously, when I'm cross-training, I don't have any load on my body, my muscles and my joints, so I should, over time, be able to do more at a higher heart rate zone and slightly change this distribution. But why is it important to look at your heart rate zone distribution and not just guess? You have to remember why we're cross-training. We're injured. It's easy to think, oh, we just get on the bike and we just hammer it and we just do exactly what we're doing, we're running. Heart rate zone distribution means that you will manage your effort as you go. This right here is a torn Achilles. It needs energy, it needs calories to heal. If I just start smashing it on the bike, training loads, just because I can't feel any aches and pains elsewhere, it doesn't necessarily aid my healing process. Same with burning out because I'm doing too much too soon. I need to phase in and gradually build up the amount of cross training that I'm doing. By looking at my heart rate zone distribution, I can make sure I'm doing enough in an easy heart rate zone that I'm not going to get a lot of cumulative fatigue, I'm not going to have issues with fueling, and ultimately I can work on recovering from my injury while still maintaining some fitness. Anyone who tells you that you're going to become super amazing fit and hit the ground running and just get a PB the week that you kind of get your cast off, it's probably not going to happen. We interrupt our live coverage of Elzan Bibic's murder trial to bring you some breaking news. Base fitness is at an all-time low. Alright, it's just my top half, yeah? This deep dive into the Coros Training Hub shows us the correlation between the intensity trend and the base fitness. As you can see, when intensity goes up, so does base fitness. And over time, as shown here, base fitness can gradually fall if intensity is not kept up. The intensity represents a 24-day rolling average of the exercise you've been doing. It essentially compares your short-term to your long-term exercise to work out how intense training is going. Base fitness is a longer term metric, it's 42 days, and that is how your fitness is over a longer period of time. Here, on the sharp decline, you might be thinking, Callum, you weren't doing much intensity. I thought everything was going really well and you were getting great results. Well, I was, but the intensity was reducing as I was racing more. So it was harder, sharper efforts, but overall, the effort was falling down. Here, right at the end of the graph, is where we are now. When I got injured, I did no intensity because I literally couldn't do any exercise, and I've gradually been doing a little bit more as the days have gone by. In a few months, we hope that the base fitness will shoot off this way, but we'll have to find out. So that's it. That's how I'm going to try and maintain and hopefully build some fitness while going through an injury using cross training. As you can see, I'm not a complete expert, but I'm hoping that combining my coach's experience with the data and the user interface that I'm getting from Coros, I should be able to learn on the job and hopefully build up a good picture of how I can improve my fitness as I go. What I would say to you is please just don't guess. Don't think, oh, I'll just go hard some days, easy some days, and make it up as you go along. Invest in a good watch, invest in a heart rate monitor, invest in understanding the data, watch videos like this and other ones, and hopefully you can get a really informed picture of how you can progress using cross training. A lot of people will just sit on the bike and spin their legs. You're not really doing that much, and I've learned that the hard way by doing it myself in the past.